need to cut them.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this lovely Friday for our webinar on logging pre-trip and post-trip inspections. We will get started in just a minute. Let's give a few more minutes for people to join, but just want to make it known and clear all of these webinars, they will be hosted on our YouTube channel for you to watch over and over again, share with all of your driver friends, and use and utilize as much as you can. So we'll get started in just one quick minute. Okay, creating a pre and post-trip inspection. So once you log into your Keep Truckin' app, there's two ways that you can do an inspection report. So for most of you drivers, you'll log in for the day and your Bluetooth is on in your phone settings. You're going to go ahead to connect to your vehicle in the top right corner. Let's go ahead and connect to this Volvo. And what you'll notice is a prompt will come up. So this is a setting that your fleet manager set for your fleet, that it requires a pre-trip inspection before you're able to connect to your vehicle. So what this means is you'll have to go ahead and click continue, and it's going to ask you to create a new inspection form. It'll show you exactly in red which fields you'll need to fill out, and all inspection reports do require a signature. So general shows the time, obviously your carrier, the location, the odometer reading, and whether it's a pre-trip or a post-trip inspection. Then you'll go ahead to the defects section. So on this vehicle, let's go ahead and add a defect, let's say the battery. And what you'll actually be able to do is decide whether it's a major or minor defect. And then you can enter in notes. And this is really important. That way you can have a really good idea when you look back at these inspection reports about exactly what went on and to make sure that they're always fixed. You can add photos too if you want to show maybe that the tires, for example, need to be replaced. You can send a picture of that to show exactly what's going on. And then you'll hit done. And then it will show the defects listed under this vehicle. If you need to remove the defect, you just go ahead back in and unselect whichever defect you selected. Then you go on to your trailers. So right now I have 3 trailers. Keep in mind that it's going to pull in what was last reported. So if you have 3 trailers listed, you're going to want to go ahead and erase any trailer that you're not actually hauling. Let's erase these 2. So now trailer 1, 2, 3. You can go ahead in and add trailer defects now. The reflectors. So you'll select the type, whether it's major or minor. Enter any notes that you may have. And then again, a picture if you would like. And it'll show up right here under the trailer's defect. Again, when you go to sign your inspection report, it will carry over the signature that was previously used by you, so you won't have to actually re-sign each time. And then you're going to mark if the defects were corrected or need to be corrected. And then you hit save. And then it's going to allow you to connect to your vehicle. So I'm not close enough to my vehicle right now, so it's not letting me do it. But basically, you'll be able to connect to your vehicle and log your hours with your ELD that day. Now, when it's time for you to leave, you can go ahead and go to select vehicle in the top right corner and actually leave your vehicle. And again, this is a company setting. They may require you to do a post-trip inspection. And in that case, it will prompt up just as it did when you tried to connect to your vehicle. And you'll fill out the post-trip inspection. Now, this didn't prompt me, but say I know from my fleet that we have to do post-trip inspections. I can go into the day's log, and at the top, the fourth one, inspection, you'll see already my pre-trip inspection with both my vehicle defects and my trailer defects, and that I corrected them. But let's go ahead and log the post-trip inspection now. So in the bottom right corner, you'll go ahead and add the plus sign. I'm in that same vehicle, so hit next. The odometer reading. And then the inspection type would now be post-trip. Go ahead, hit your defects, and no defects are detected now, so we're fine on that. And again, you'll have to go to hit sign. You'll notice when you hit sign inspection report, it pulls up the last signature that you had already put in. Inspection section in your app. So hopefully that cleared a few things up. Again, if it is a requirement of your fleet, it will prompt you as you try to connect and as you try to leave your vehicle in order to do your pre and post trip inspections. Otherwise, just go into your day's log, go to inspection, and hit the plus sign to create the pre or post trip inspection. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and hop into our Q&A now. Real quickly, again, we want to just let you know, if you are having any troubles, make sure to visit our support center, support.keeptruckin.com, and you can just type in the search bar DVIR, and it will show you and help you out how to do it. If that doesn't answer your questions, of course, call our 24/7 support line. The number is 855-434-3564. They'll be able to help you day and night. And if you're more comfortable with emailing, you can go ahead and email our support at support@keeptruckin.com. Okay, if you have any questions, go ahead and type it into the chat, and we'll get into that right now. Okay, just for this Q&A session, we do have Jason and Jocelyn here. Hey, guys.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Okay, let's go ahead. Jason, this is a good one for you. How long does Keep Truckin' keep all our information, the logs, the location history, inspections, etc.?
So we keep this information for as long as you guys want us to. You're required to have and maintain your ELD information for 6 months. If you choose that you don't want us keeping any of that data for any longer than 6 months, you can let us know, and we can delete it after 6 months. But we keep it as long as you guys need us to.
Perfect. Do we have to do a post-trip inspection?
Yes. So you are required at the beginning of your day to sign off on the previous driver of the same vehicle's post-trip inspection, so you have to sign off on that. And then at the end of the day, you're required to then fill out your DVIR post-trip inspection on your vehicle. So yes, you are.
But Jason, what if the vehicle has no defects?
Then no. You're only required to do it when there is defects. Typically, you should get in the habit of doing it anyway, because we've seen plenty of officers at roadside who are very strict on this, and they might not necessarily interpret the rules in the same way as we do or you do. So I would make sure you get in the habit of filling out your post trip every single day, regardless if there's defects or not. And also, it's really good for your fleet as well, because it allows you and your fleet manager to keep track of your vehicle's health status. So it just makes the whole process a whole lot better.
Right. So it's a good habit to get into. In the case that your vehicle is in great condition, there's no defects to report, we still really recommend you do that pre and post trip inspection. And it should be quick and easy, just going through the mechanics of it, saying, you know, your signature should automatically be saved into our system. So just really submitting that good condition vehicle report.
Awesome. And do the inspection reports have to be the 15-point inspections?
So this varies depending on your industry. Each industry has their own restrictions on what they should do. Like passenger vehicles are required to inspect the emergency exits every time, whereby a construction company must check to make sure that their bed is clean before putting any kind of materials in the back. So each one is different. The government mandates for DVIRs the different parts that you have to inspect, and that's what you should go off of. But there might be additional requirements depending on the industry that you're a part of.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere for the passenger vehicles that part of that inspection, you also have to say if the DVD player entertainment system is working. So as Jason was saying, it really does vary depending on your industry.
Okay. If I switch trailers, am I able to add another inspection report just for a trailer?
You can create another inspection report and add in a second trailer. Or what you can do, you can actually specify the trailer under the comment on that defect, which is probably the easiest way. That's what I would recommend doing. So when you're going through it and you're adding a defect, just specify in the comment which trailer you're using if you're going through multiple trailers in the same day. That's just the easiest way to keep track of it and make sure that if you get pulled over and a DOT officer asks, you're able to effectively verify which trailer has the defect.
Okay, thank you. Ooh, this is a good one. Does a team have to do a post-trip if the next driver is going to do a pre-trip?
It's really the same thing. If you guys are team drivers, it applies to the same vehicle. So the idea is that if there's a defect, if there's a defect found, you need to do it, whether that's a pre-trip or post-trip. It needs to happen at the switch then, right? Regardless of if you're the one that's doing the post-trip or you're the one that's doing the pre-trip. There just needs to be an inspection for the vehicle at that time if there's any defects.
Perfect. Okay, is there a minimum time that you're supposed to spend doing your pre- and post-trip inspection reports?
So I haven't seen any information on this, if there's a set required minimum time. I think it's, again, just kind of reasonable judgment of how long would a full 15-point inspection actually take a driver. So we don't want to encourage people to rush through it and kind of miss any potential defects. That doesn't help anyone going down the road. But I don't think there's a required minimum time. Jason, do you have any info on that?
There is not a required minimum time. There's just guidance around just making sure that you take the necessary time to actually go through the full inspection and you're not just coasting through it.
Okay, how can I add it to the driver's app so it's a requirement to do a vehicle inspection report?
So I can take this one. This would be more directed for our fleet admins, fleet managers, dispatchers. On your dashboard in the Keep Truckin' system, this is something you'll find under your company settings. So when you're playing around in the admin tab, just head on over to company settings, and you'll see that we do have options to prompt within the app. and just kind of remind your drivers, require your drivers to do these pre and post trip inspections. If you have any questions on that, feel free to give us a call on our support line. We can walk you through it more specifically, but it's all within your Keep Truckin' dashboard.
And again, on that note, if the fleet admins make it a requirement for the drivers to log a pre and post trip inspection, it will not let you, your driver's app will not let you connect via Bluetooth to your vehicle, or it will not let you leave your vehicle at the end of the day without filling these forms out. Okay, this is a question that is a little side note, but how do you save your logs to a flash drive?
You can easily save them either through your mobile device or through your computer by saving them as a PDF on the log form. And once you save that as a PDF and it gets saved as a file type, you can actually move that onto a hard drive by plugging that hard drive or a USB stick into the USB port of the computer. So it's a pretty easy process.
Okay.
And so is that just looking at the app? I believe you would select, there's little check marks next to each day's log. So you could just select those logs that you're attempting to save. And you'll see options come up to print or send. Are those the ones we're looking at? And if you go ahead and print, you'll have the option come up to print it, obviously. And if you were to send, that's when you'll have the option to either email or fax. You'll see a preview, and that would be converting those logs into more manageable PDF forms.
Awesome. Okay, let's see. Is there a latest update on personal conveyance?
So for this one, I'm gonna kind of promote one of our other webinars we did here a few weeks ago, where we just talked everybody's ear off about yard moves of personal conveyance at latest standing. So personal conveyance has, certain requirements that the vehicle be unladen. You cannot be carrying any cargo. You cannot have anything on the vehicle. In ELD mode, to be compliant with the regulation, you must select personal conveyance as your status before moving the vehicle. We know this can be a little tricky, that human error comes into play, but that is the ruling. You must switch your status before moving the vehicle. Otherwise, if you forget, you'll just have to annotate that log, add a note explicitly stating, this drive time is going to record on my log, but you can still say that was an accident, that was personal conveyance. Anything else to add?
I think you got that.
They haven't, yeah. So to be clear, they released updated real guidance, but they haven't updated the actual legislation. So they're thinking about changing the way that personal conveyance CR moves works, but there's nothing that has been concrete that has come up. We'll be sure to keep everyone updated if anything does change. Yeah,
and personal conveyance, remember, is usually between the driver's home and their home terminal or where they're starting their shift. We can't really specify if there's a time limit or a distance mileage limit. That's all just, up to your best judgment of, is this honestly an appropriate use of personal conveyance underneath the FMCSA guidelines?
Awesome. And okay, let's see. Oops, I missed this one. Okay, can you sign your inspection report after the fact and still be in compliance?
So this is one of those tricky things that it's not really addressed within the legislation itself. You should sign it right after. The important thing is that you do sign it. So if you forget to sign it during that, it's important that you make sure you go back in and sign it later. The important thing, of course, is that you are signing the inspection to verify that it happened. You should make it a habit, though, of doing it right after you complete the inspection.
And then it looks like we have a few questions about editing drive time. Whether you're in ELD mode or AOBRD mode, when can you edit your drive time?
So this is really where you see the differences between AOBRD and ELD. In AOBRD mode, that, remember, you had to already have installed, be using prior to December 18th of last year, you were able to reclassify drive time. So whether it was recorded as drive time and you wanted to list it as a yard move or personal conveyance, you still had the ability to do so. However, that all changes with ELD mode. So you no longer have the ability to reclassify drive time. It'll be listed as drive time, show up on the drive line of your log. And like I mentioned earlier, the only thing you can really do at that point is just add a note or add a remark to your log explaining what happened in that case, that situation. We all know that AOBRD, you know, while it's been grandfathered in currently, that will come to an end, I believe, December 2019. And Jason has some thoughts to share with us as well.
It is important to know you cannot edit drive time. Even if you're in AOBRD mode, drive time has to be automatically recorded. You cannot edit it. You can reclassify into a different duty status. You can reassign that after the fact, but you cannot edit drive time.
Yeah.
If you do, you are out of compliance, and the FMCSA officer will know pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So you cannot edit drive time, regardless if you're ELD or AOBRD mode.
Drive time is drive time. No way around that.
Thanks, guys. Okay. So in Ontario, they require truck and trailer license plate numbers on your inspection report. How can I change the vehicle ID, add different fields, etc.?
So for the naming of the vehicle ID, that's something that you cannot change in our system just because all of the data associated with that vehicle is tied to that individual vehicle ID. However, if, again, this is more for your dispatchers, your admin, you go ahead, go to your Keep Truckin' dashboard, go into your admin page, and this would be in vehicle settings. You can go into the individual vehicle profile, I guess we'll say, the page, and you should be able to add in license plate numbers there.
Correct. So at the top of the page, you'll see a little symbol that is for inspection reports. And you'll see actually we have already by default, everyone is pretty much on the US inspection report. However, we do have pre-installed into our dashboard also the Canadian. So depending on your fleet and when and where you're driving, you'll have either the US or Canadian one, and you can always add additional fields as a fleet admin.
And I think that's really important. We are the only solution out there right now that has completely customizable vehicle inspections. So if there is a part of the form that you want to add, you can add it and assign that to specific vehicles so that you can include whatever additional fields that you want to require your drivers to input.
Right. So there is kind of a minimum required amount of information on these vehicle inspection reports required by the FMCSA. But if your fleet wants to go above and beyond that, you want to hear a bit more from your drivers about, okay, you've marked there's a defect here. Is it major or minor? That's something you can toggle in your settings. And like Leah and Jason both mentioned, we do have customizable inspection reports, so you can require as much information as you'd like.
Okay. Sometimes my business partner uses the truck, but they're not part of the company. What happens in this case?
Okay, so in this case, that sounds like an exempt driver. If it's your business partner, they're not long haul, they're not subject to the same regulations. And so, but ELDs are very good at their job. If the vehicle's in motion over 5 miles per hour, it will record that drive time. And so on your Keep Truckin' dashboard, it will show up as a driving event. In this case, there are a couple of things you can do. You can have your business partner create a login, a driver profile, and they can select themselves as an exempt driver. So in their cycle rule, they could select other, that means they're exempt. And so they'll still accept that drive time and log it as their own. But they won't have the same little violations pop up to take their 30-minute break or stay within their 11-hour drive time. So that's one way around it.
Yeah, or just in general, it will show up as an unidentified driving event. Those will show at the bottom of the driver's log. Just make sure that as a driver, you are not accepting driving events that are not yours. Okay. Let's see. Okay, what if you bring your vehicle to a service center for maintenance? The ELD kicks in after 5 miles per hour. How do you account for that?
Okay, so great question. We get this question all the time. if you'd believe that. And so this is discussed in the mandate, in the regulation. It's completely understandable that fleets have mechanics. Sometimes those mechanics need to do yard moves, or you've got yard spotters that need to move a truck from one parking spot to the next. And we don't want that drive time showing up on our driver's logs and counting against their hours. Completely understandable. So in that case, you are allowed to create a driver profile for your mechanic or for your yard spotters that are doing these moves. The same rules apply. So before they kick that vehicle into motion, they're going to want to, connect to the vehicle with their mechanic or yard spotter driver profile, switch that status to yard move. And that way the drive time would automatically put onto their unique mechanic account profile or yard spotter account profile. And again, same rules apply. So if they forget to log in, they're driving the vehicle, that's going to show up on your dashboard as an unidentified driving event. And your fleet managers or dispatchers will be able to go in and assign that unidentified drive time or driving event to a profile. So specifically to their mechanic profile or their yard spotter profile. Yeah, so we just really, the key here is making sure that the drive time is assigned to the appropriate party. We don't want to put extra drive time on someone's log who wasn't actually driving the vehicle, anyone. So it's just appropriately and accurately assigning the drive time to the right person.
Awesome, thanks so much. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and answer one last question. Jason, I think you'll really like this one. What makes Keep Truckin' better or different than the other solutions out there? I love this question.
This is a great question. And there's two main things that I like to talk about. One is ease of use, and the other is support. I have seen all the solutions out there. Some have a ton of features, and some are super cheap. Some are a one-stop shop for everything where you have a mechanic that actually comes on site and installs them. But nothing is as easy to use and intuitive as Keep Trucking software. If you look at the Google Play or Apple App Store, if you just look at the reviews and see Keep Trucking versus any of our other competitors, there's no one even close to the ratings that we get on a consistent basis, or even the total number of drivers who are actually rating us. And the reason why they rate us is because they really think that we have the best solution out there. So we typically have around a 4.8 out of 5 rating on the App Store, which is higher than even a lot of Google apps out there. So it's pretty incredible, and that just goes to show how easy it is for drivers to pick up and use, and how easy it is for fleet managers to use the dashboard. So that's the first part. And the second part is the fact that we have a 24/7 support line that is always willing to answer any questions that you may have. Some of our competitors typically only have support that goes 9 to 5 or 9 to 4, but it's on a specific time zone. So if it's on the East Coast, it's 2 p.m. And you're on the West Coast, you don't have support to call into. Or say it's the middle of the night. You have no one that you can call into if you have any issues. There's nothing. But you can always call Keep Trucking Support, which is always online 24/7 through calling, through chatting, or through emailing, and you can get the answers that you need. So those are the two biggest differentiators, I think, that really set us apart from everyone else.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, a little bit of background on me. So my dad was a driver at UPS for 30 years. Also the last man standing in the United States who does not own a cell phone, no flip phone, no smartphone, nothing. So we're not even an answering machine in the house. We're very behind the times on this. But so when I came to work for Keep Trucking a while ago, we want all of our employees to get to know the product, understand the user experience. And so I took home an ELD, installed it in my dad's car, and had him drive around with me. And so like Jason was saying, we don't send mechanics out to install these devices because they're plug and play. So they should be fairly easy, even for someone like my father, who's not really a technological fellow. But so even, with the grumbles and not really wanting to try something new and kind of being against change, after driving around with the device and having that drive time automatically recorded onto the app, onto the log, he did see like, oh, okay, so it does it for me. That takes a step out of the process. As long as you log in once and you're using the same ELD, same device, same vehicle, it'll automatically connect to your Bluetooth. It'll automatically log you into your profile. So yeah, I mean, it's a testimonial to what you're saying, Jason, that even someone who has never picked up a smartphone in their life can get on board with Keep Truckin's app.
Definitely. Awesome, guys. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Of course, if we didn't get to your question or you have even more questions, go ahead and call support, email support, visit the support center online. We will have another driver webinar in 2 weeks, so watch out for the invite for that. Thanks so much.